Hi, and welcome to my channel, Laura's Library Card. So today I'm going to be completing the Reader Problems book tag. And I was sort of kind of tagged by Bunny Cakes. I will put her channel down below. Her channel title is Bunny Cakes Tomes of Endless Wonder. So let's jump right in. Prompt number 1. You have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? So this is like sort of true. I have a long TBR. And I'm never going to make a dent on all the books that are published. So essentially my TBR is 20,000 books. But for me, my TBR is sort of just something I keep adding to when I find a good recommendation. So yes, even though I have 400 or 600 books on my want to read list on Goodreads, I mostly just read whatever's most recent. I find that, like with most people, that when I check a book out, I either read it right away or I just kind of, it languishes. So I'm a big mood reader. I will just kind of skim through and see if something jumps out and speaks to me. Maybe I'd go with a cover. If a cover wasn't speaking to me, if a mood wasn't really jumping out at me, I might kind of go with something that's been on my list for a long time just to kind of like mix it up. Prompt 2. You're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? So as a kid or younger, I was definitely super committed. I hated not finishing things. Here in the last couple of years, I kind of went, like when I got to college age, I was like, that's dumb. I don't have time for this. If I don't love it, I'm going to just like be whiny about it. So I'm a much more okay with DNFing a book now. And I do try to give things a fair shake, but if I'm really, really like hating it, DNF. If I'm just kind of like in the middle of the road and it's like not that long, then I might kind of finish it. If I have other stuff going on, forget it, DNF. Prompt 3. The end of the year is coming and you're so close, but so far away on your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up and how? So I am sort of cheated because I've always set my Goodreads reading challenge achievably low. And so it is not really a surprise to me that we're halfway through the year and I'm already like 9 books ahead or something like that. So it hasn't been a problem because I purposely like set low goals. But if I was in this scenario and I felt like I needed to finish, like I really wouldn't hold myself to it that much. I might try to finish if there was like not that many books, if I wasn't too far behind, but if I felt like I was like, yeah, I'm not going to accomplish this, then I would just kind of abandon it. Prompt 4. The covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? So for me, I'm not like a huge book collector. Like, yes, I think having books is great and I'm a big rereader. So my favorite series I do purchase, but I don't really like a cover doesn't like, okay, when the cover is gorgeous, I love the cover. When the cover is sort of meh, like it's sort of meh, like that does not take away from the reading experience, and nor does a cover being amazing like mean that it's an insta read for me or an insta buy in any way. And even if it's a favorite book and it's like gorgeous cover, sprayed edges, embossing, like beautiful, still like I am just not like a book buyer. And honestly, for ebooks, I like never really look at at the cover unless it's on my library, screen. So the covers just really aren't that important to me. If I'm going to be purchasing a series, I try to get them to match just because why not? But I actually own multiple series where they don't match because I bought them in various times and locations. So it doesn't super matter to me. Prompt 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? So I have been in this situation a couple times. I definitely jump on the popularity bandwagon. So I'm usually the everybody, and I'm not a mom, but like I'm their mother who's like, oh my God, like it's the most popular book ever, so you should totally love it. when I have feelings about a book, I have generally bored the crap out of my family and my husband, and they get an in-depth, unasked for analysis of why the book sucked and why everyone seems to love it and they're all dummies, but you know. But now I also have BookTube, so I get to look up like rant reviews, and sometimes I do look up reviews on Goodreads just to like enjoy that those few rare negative comments. I'm like, yes, that person agrees with me. Vindication. Prompt 6. You are reading a book and you are about to start crying in public. How do you deal? I cry. I don't wear makeup in public. I don't care. I mean, I don't want people coming up to me and being like, oh, is everything okay? Because I'd just be like, it's the book. But at the same time, I don't care. Like if I'm reading and it's truly an emotional enough, awesome enough written, like if it's truly like that great that I am going to start crying, then I let it go. I mean, there might be a little bit of like a moment and I might like excuse myself to the bathroom, but at my old job, I was caught crying multiple times and people were like, are you okay? And I was like, it's the book. It's so good. Prompt 7. A sequel of a book you loved just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. This happens to me like literally every time. Will you reread that first book or skip the sequel? Try to find a synopsis on Goodreads? Cry in frustration? So my memory is kind of terrible. If I even when a book that I loved is right in front of me, I'll be like, there were people and things, I think. I reread a lot because my memory is terrible and because I'm like a mood reader kind of person that wants to re-experience the feelings that I got the first time. So I, most of the time, do reread a series when a sequel comes out. If I really don't have time, or if I like sort of was middle of the road about the first book, like I probably am not reading the sequel, but if I was, I could see myself settling for a skim or a synopsis on Goodreads. I would never just cry in frustration. I would definitely like go on YouTube and find a review about it, or at the very least skim through. Or I would maybe just dive right into the sequel and just be like, I'll remember this, it'll come back to me. And sometimes it does. Prompt number 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? I don't really like lend out that many books just because I only own like one bookshelf and it's not even like a full-size bookshelf. I did loan books not that long ago. I didn't give any instructions. They were like old favorites, so I didn't super care if they were dinged up more than they already were. So I don't really have this problem lending books as long as I know I'm going to get them back. But to answer this question, how would I say nope politely? Honestly, like they would have to be a pretty good friend for me to loan books. I wouldn't just be like, oh, hi stranger who I've met twice. So if they were a good friend, I'd be like, hey, so sorry, but I can't lend you this book. And if they really like were pushy and were like, well, why not? I would just be like, because I don't trust you. Prompt 9. Reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? I quite enjoyed Bunny Cakes' answer for this, which was that she frequently goes and binges TV shows. And I find that if I'm in a real reading slump, then I tend to just kind of acknowledge it and try to involve something else, try to do something else in my life, try to binge a bunch of TV, watch some movies. If that's not working, I frequently will go back to a favorite and reread that and hope that that kind of snaps me out of it. Once or twice I have just gone the total like 180 degrees, like just pick something up that is totally out of my wheelhouse. And so I don't know, like reading slumps are just kind of different depending on where I am in my life and what's going on. I frequently kind of ignore the problem for a short period of time. Thankfully, probably jinxing myself right here, but thankfully most of the reading slumps in my life have lasted like less than a week, less than 2 weeks. So I don't know if that's really like a slump, but considering I try to read every single day, if there's 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row where I'm like, nah, not interested, then that to me is a slump. But for the most part, they usually pass at that point. And I think probably my most tried and true way to get out of a slump is going back to an old favorite. Prompt 10. There are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? Again, I've already kind of said this, like I don't really buy that many books, but I do check out a lot of books on the library. I would say as much as a problem as other people have sometimes like really going overboard buying books, I am that way with my library cards. I have multiple library cards, and kind of as soon as I hear a recommendation that I'm like, ooh, that sounds great, I really want that, I frequently will just go ahead and try to check it out from the library. So at any given time, I might have 20 books checked out from the library. I am pretty realistic about like how much I can get to, and so I try not to just like literally book after book after book, but I don't really have like a limit, and I've never had a problem where I've just been like, oh, sorry, I just bought like $150 worth of books. And last but not least, prompt 11 says, after you've bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? And if I actually bought a book that I was really excited about, that book would probably be not even touching my shelf. Like I would probably buy it and come home and sit down and read it. That being said, and going off of my answer for the last question, when I've just checked out a bunch of library books, it's really hit and miss. I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. I feel like an echo of myself saying that I frequently will check out a book and either devour it immediately or it just like languishes. I think that's the exact word I just used. Deja vu. I either get out a book and read it immediately, or it sits and gets renewed like 4 times before I finally am acknowledging that it's not going to happen. So it's either like immediately or maybe never. As for tagging, I think these 3 people have not done this tag before, but if they have, then, you know, that's on me. Feel free, if you're watching this, to feel like you are tagged. But specifically, I'm going to go ahead and call out and tag Raven Bell Books, Witch Kitten Reads, and Sabriel's Bell. Those 3 I've been having some good conversations with over on our Wheel of Time Discord, and I am really interested to see what any of these 3 have to say about buying books. And I know a couple of them have hinted at buying a lot of books and how they all have to match and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and tag those 3 to do this reader problems book tag. If you want to yell at me for anything that I have said, please feel free. I would love to hear it. Go ahead and comment down below. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. Do you think it's too Christmassy? The green and red? I don't care, I like it. It's a bold lip.